So in the previous video, we announced that certain I-45 adjustment of status interviews are being waived. But I wanted to explain in this video what legal requirements can interviews be actually waived, so you will understand under what circumstances the immigration can waive an interview. Watch this video and I'll tell you more. Hello everybody. So in this video we'll talk about what are some of the criteria that USCIS is looking before they waive interviews for adjustment of status. What are the common reasons why an interview should be waived? If you haven't seen my previous video where we announced the fact that quite a few interviews are being waived, watch that video, click that link here, and you can watch that video, give you some context. If you're here for the first time, make sure you subscribe to our channel, click that bell to be notified. We create videos every single week. My name is Sapochnick, and I'm an immigration attorney based in San Diego, California, and we practice immigration law in all 50 states. And right now, during the coronavirus pandemic, we try to update you on videos that are related to immigration and COVID-19, so to keep you informed. What are the criteria that a USCIS can use typically to waive an interview? And again, the reason we're doing this video is because early on in this week, we reported that a few of our clients got their interviews waived, specifically for employment-based immigration, and a couple of family-based immigration cases as well. And then we had a bunch of questions from people asking, well, will my interview be waived as well? Well, for the moment, there is no policy from USCIS that specifically says that an interview will be waived. All we can see is in practice, in some of our cases, as well as other immigration attorneys are reporting that certain interviews are being waived. But what is the actual legal basis for interview to be waived? Up until about a year ago or so, only family-based adjustment of status required an interview. Employment-based adjustment of status typically did not require an interview, and applicants who had all the documents were receiving their green cards by mail. That has changed through a USCIS policy about a year ago or so that required even adjustment of status applicants who are getting their green cards based on employment, like EB2, EB3, national interest waiver cases, to be interviewed. And of course, that created a much bigger backlog of people waiting on their interviews, and that's kind of how it was until now. And that has not changed. That policy is still in place. What we've seen in the past week or so, because of COVID-19, I guess they're trying to catch up, they started waiving interviews for certain applicants. Under USCIS guidelines, the following classes of cases typically get their interviews waived. Number one, people who are clearly ineligible for their benefits, so they're not even going to get an interview and their cases probably will get denied. Second are children under the age of 14, typically could get their interviews waived. Number three, parents of US citizens typically can get their interviews waived. That's in USCIS regulations. Certain asylees who got their asylum already and they got approved could be also exempt from the 45 adjustment interview. And special circumstances like military cases, people that are about to be deployed, or if cases involving military, we've seen those cases. That's also in the regulations. Interviews could be waived. And some cases in family petitions where the US citizen petitioner is incarcerated, they could also waive interviews in cases like that if they have enough evidence to satisfy that the case is fine. They could waive the interview requirement for one of the parties, at least. On the employment side, before the regulation that they are required also for interviews, cases like national interest waiver, EB1s, and people that are still working for the same petitioner under an EB2 classification were also typically able to be waived, and that's also the USCIS regulations. These are the kind of general categories of classes of individuals or cases that were getting their adjustment of status interviews waived, and that's in the regulations on the USCIS. Now, we know that now typically adjustment of status cases under employment petitions require an interview. That has not changed. And also 45 adjustment of status based on marriage also require interviews. That has never changed. But we know that because the situation right now is unusual, because we have the service has been closed for more than a month, the backlog that we anticipate is going to happen is going to be severe and extreme. And therefore, they will probably do some sort of concessions and start waiving interviews for certain classes, some of the ones that I mentioned here, and maybe also others, like even family petitions, that they feel comfortable to approve, they'll be adjudicating them without interviews. That remains to be seen. That's not a policy. But I think in this video, I just wanted to kind of explain that interview waiver is something that exists in USCIS policy, and they can do it for certain classes of immigrants. They can also do it under extreme circumstances, like the coronavirus or any other issue that requires them to waive an interview to help speed up the process, or to avoid hardship for the applicant from getting their green card because they need to work or travel or whatever the issue is. So this is just kind of in general. Once we have more updates as to interview waivers, or if it becomes a policy or what happens in that, we'll post an update. In the meantime, that's all I have for now. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below. If you know somebody who may benefit from this video, make sure you share this video, and let me know in the comments what other videos you want us to make, because I know you have a lot of questions and this is a very unsettling time. So thank you for watching, stay safe, and we'll see you in our next video.